Hello, everyone. I would like to present an article about JP Morgan Chase, specifically on promises to shift their portfolio away from fossil fuels. Before we dive further into this, we should understand a few keywords, starting off with ESG. ESG stands for Environment, Social, and Governance Criteria. In other words, it is a set of standards that investors use to screen potential investments. In this report that I present today, might focus more on the environment rather than the social and governance per se. And next, carbon accounting. Carbon accounting is a method to measure direct and indirect carbon emissions to the Earth biosphere resulted from the industrial activities. And Paris Climate Agreement is an environmental accord that was adopted by almost every nation in 2015. Its main goal is to decrease global warming temperatures to 1.5 degrees Celsius per year. And you might ask why. As you can see here in this chart, is because global carbon emission is far too high, and we wanted to have to hopefully decrease the carbon emissions to alleviate the global warming issue. And moving on to the article. On October 6, JP Morgan Chase made an announcement to its client in the oil, gas, electric power, and automotive sectors to reduce carbon emissions by 2030 as agreed by the Paris Environmental Accord. And there was a number of reasons to why it happened. So first, over the past few years, there has been pressure from environmental activists and shareholders who have targeted JP Morgan, which has been reported to lend the most money to fossil fuels companies, as you can see here in the graph. ESG integrations were starting to become more and more relevant in this century. It has become the main tool for investors to evaluate a particular firm's value. A majority of other financial firms, such as Morgan Stanley, Citibank, and Bank of America, have developed global carbon accounting standard to mitigate the environmental effect in their portfolio. In fact, investors are starting to become more concerned about the environment, and JP Morgan has to take that into considerations when it comes to deciding to finance any investments in order to fulfill stewardship court to shareholders and society as a whole. And based on the event, we can see some certain implications. First, fossil fuel energy industries will become more vigilant on carbon emissions to meet quotas set by the industrial standard. Second, renewable energy companies are seen to be a good promise to investors since people are becoming more incentivized to invest in it due to its high growth forecast. And third, global carbon accounting standard will become more practical by many firms to keep an eye on the carbon emission generated from their portfolio. And so what are my take on this? I think ESG integration has never been more essential for many years to come. As studies shown, in the next few decades, millennials are going to take over trillions of dollars worth of wealth, and many of them are surprisingly shown to care about the consequences of their investments. And I think good ESG integrations would translate to top investing choice as investors are changing based on study by Morgan Stanley. And also, on the other hand, from a finance perspective, JP Morgan's decisions to divest fossil fuel companies might reduce diversification opportunities and leads to more risk. And I think fossil fuel energy is not going to be out of market anytime soon, despite its high return rate. And this is the end of my presentation. And thank you for listening. And here are my references.